What is up? Welcome back. 2024-25 NBA season previews. Basketball's here, man. The
I
NBA
know.
season starts tomorrow. We're recording this on Monday, October 21st. The season starts tomorrow, technically speaking, opening night. Lakers, Knicks, Wolves, Lakers. And then most of the action starts on Wednesday and Thursday, but for all intents and purposes, hoops is back. Um, Basketball is back. College basketball will be back. NBA season is back. Today we're going to be doing the Charlotte Hornets. My name is Matt. This is Jiarmani, man. Jiarmani, what's going on?
Nothing much. By the time this probably gets out, NBA season will probably be in full swing at that point. But regardless, basketball season is back for some teams for the better, for other teams for the worse. And I think we're gonna dive into the worst end of that spec. So I mean, we're talking about Charlotte. So I mean, at least for me, it's not a whole lot of positives we can do to talk about Charlotte. But other than that, I'm doing good.
You're doing good. Okay.
I'm doing good.
You're slamming the Charlotte Hornets already. The Charlotte Hornets were not great last year. They were one of the worst teams in the East. They made a coaching change. Charles Lee, former Boston assistant, he was also a guy under Budenholzer for a while. He was a Budenholzer disciple. He's now there as the head man. They didn't have a very active off season per se, but Jiarmani, what were your thoughts on them last season? I know again missed plenty of time. Mark Williams was banged up. Brandon Miller did emerge, top 3 pick. But I guess what were your overall takeaways from last season and heading into the off season? I guess.
I mean, they sucked. For just bluntly, Charlotte was not a good basketball team, and LaMelo missing a lot of time really hurts them offensively because that's pretty much like at a time that was pretty much your offense. If LaMelo wasn't playing well, and pretty much it's there really wasn't much to go on. Brandon Miller, I love his game. I think he, at least he's one of the bright spots of that Charlotte Hornet team. I think he's gonna start ascending a little bit more. And the thing is with Charlotte, at least the position they're in, you have to really hit on a lot of these guys in the draft. And I feel like they did hit on Brandon Miller. Obviously, they picked an actual somebody who's fitting the modern NBA, a wing who can score, and obviously he will start working his way up on the defensive side as well. But the thing is that there's no big free agents. There's no shortcuts that you can take. You have they're it seems like they've been in that inevitable rebuild, even with the days of Kemba Walker and if you could say the glory days and whatnot. So, but regardless of that fact, I think they have some bright spots on this roster. It's just I don't see them improving dramatically. I feel like it's they're still a few years off from really getting back to a point where they can be respectability, So, but I do like the fact they picked up Charles Lee, kind of have that NBA the NBA championship experience now. You have yourself who can more. I would like to believe he's a respected coach, and the fact that he's taking the reins, obviously he's probably going to use Joe Mazzulla's philosophy as well. As you said, he was a Budenholzer disciple, at least. But I think getting Steve Clifford out of there and bringing somebody who's younger, bringing somebody who kind of understands I guess the lack of a better, pretty much understands a winning culture and pretty much understands what it takes to get develop players into getting them ready to for postseason play. Even though Charlotte isn't there yet, but it's planting the seeds is what I'm looking for in Charlotte this season.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the position they're in with they finished 21-61 last year. They had the 30th. They were last in net rating, believe it or not. At least in adjusted net rating for dunks and threes. They were 27th in offense. 28th in offense, 29th in defense, and so they were a bottom 3 team by every conceivable metric last year. Again, LaMelo Ball missed plenty of time, and then they made some moves throughout. They traded Terry Rozier to Miami for Kyle Lowry, who they bought out. They acquired Grant Williams at the deadline for PJ Washington. Grant Williams is still there. I'm kind of surprised they didn't move him in the offseason just based on where they're at, state of the roster. But he is a veteran leader, and I know people may find him annoying or whatnot, but he is a solid 3-and-D player. I know he disappointed in Dallas, but he's he's not a bad player by any means. I know Cody Martin missed, ample amount of time, and he's missed ample amount of time each of the last 2 years. Obviously, there's like the whole like Miles Bridges thing. However you feel morally about that, okay, basketball player, but obviously not a great human being. And then like there's pieces around the roster. Like they were involved in the 3-team sign-in trade for Klay Thompson. They didn't get Klay Thompson. I should probably specify that. They got Josh Green, and who's again like another like high energy, some three, like better defensive player, but like he could hit the 3-point shot a little bit. He's another guy that you can just kind of get infused in there as like I don't want to say like he's still pretty young, but like a veteran piece, like a guy who's been in the league for a few years, and obviously knows how to play the game. And so like there's pieces there. Again, if you get like a healthy LaMelo Ball, I think the complexion, not even the complexion of this team, but like it's just different because in the past when you were without LaMelo Ball, well, you could then rely on a Terry Rozier. You don't necessarily have that with this roster after trading Rozier. And so they're not entering a new phase by any means because obviously they're, again, LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller and whatnot are still there. I am expecting this team to be better this year. Like I don't think they're going to be dead last in adjusted net rating. Like I don't think they're going to be, one of the worst offenses in the sport. A lot of that is contingent on health. But what you're looking for in this kind of new era with Charles Lee is the fact that, like, yeah, you need obviously LaMelo's been in the league like what, 4 or 5 years already at this point. I almost said LaMelo is in the ball. That's not correct. But you know what I mean. If only I knew how to speak. I very clearly don't. But like if you get healthy seasons from some of these important role guys, I mean, you could eventually ship them off the deadline. You can stack assets to improve your potential pick. But I wonder. I'm assuming this roster is healthy. I'm very curious to see if they are like a play-in team or they have that fight for play-in spot. Because again, they were a play-in team like a couple years ago. Like they're not very far removed from their last play-in. I don't remember the exact year. I want to say it was 3 seasons ago where they were a play-in team, but even then, like they're not far removed from it, and I think they can definitely get back to that point. I mean, they were the number 6 pick this last year. They drafted Tajane Salawan, who's like a 3-and-D big wing. Like doesn't handle the ball very much, but he can shoot it. And he's like 6'10", 6'11" with like a 7'2", 7'3" wingspan. Like he's big. And then they also got KJ Simpson in the second round, who I don't know if he's going to make much of an impact, but I would like to see him play at least some minutes on the roster. I know he was a little banged up in summer. But those are just a few things that I'm looking out for. I wonder how much in this Charles Lee type system they space the floor, how much they push the pace, accentuating LaMelo Ball's strengths, accentuating Brandon Miller's strengths as a player, and then I just wonder how that would open the floor up for everyone else. But they have some solid like veteran pieces on this roster, so this isn't like a Portland Trailblazers roster yet, or like it's not very. It's obviously not super far from it, but I don't think they're quite that bad, or like I don't think they're like a Washington Wizards bad. But they're obviously not great after last year, injuries aside.
Yeah, just talking about like the injuries, like just to find pick up where you were leaving off with like LaMelo, for example. LaMelo, he's going into year 5, and he's only had one season where he's played north of 65 games. You have last year he only played 22 games, and then the year before that he only played 36. And he played well in those games that he did play, but then it was funny. The healthiest season he had, that's when Charlotte was in the play-in. Not last season. I think it was the 2022 season when Charlotte made it, and then I think they lost both those playing games anyway. But pretty much for like the Hornets' success is contingent on LaMelo's health. It seems like And again, like I think Brandon Miller is going to find himself ascending, and I think if they can get those two guys to play for a majority, because last year Miller he played 74 games and he was third in Rookie of the Year voting. Like obviously you started off a little bit slow, but if those are the two guys that you need to see a lot out of, even though again they're so very very young, but I feel like they have a recipe. Like at their very best, like their ceiling right now, they can be a play-in team for sure. Like I can look at this team and not think that they'll be one of the worst teams in the NBA. Like there's plenty of teams out there that are far worse off than them, and a couple of them that are even in the conference. But I would say that I think the fact that you're bringing in Charles Lee, the fact that you're hoping LaMelo stays healthy, and again, it's a lot of you have to be thinking with a lot of optimism. You're hoping that Miller can take another step. He can get you, he can break through the 20-point per game barrier, that kind of thing, and not be one of the worst offenses in the league. And then again, be able to kind of at least play. Like if you're just average, if you're just like, even if you're just an average offense and just not dog water on defense, like this team can be absolute, like this team can be fine, but I can't see them being anything more than that. But yeah, like the veteran guys that you were talking about, like Grant, I feel like Grant, he kind of showed a little bit of what he can do for the Charlotte team. Obviously, he has like that experience and helping, like he's been to a finals before. And the fact that he was actually putting up numbers, even though you can probably call him empty stats when he first got traded over there, I think he like spent a week averaging like 20 points a game and then, kind of fell off a little bit. But you have him, you have Seth Curry, you got all these other guys. Like this team, it like, they have names, but it's just obviously it's not like you don't look up and down the lineup and like you don't look at them the same way you look at a New York or Boston, and that's just a matter of the situation. So, but regardless of the fact, like I would say again, like to your point, it's like I don't think they're a 21 win team again. Like I can see them, like if there was like an over under, like them getting 30 wins, I could probably say like in the best of times they could probably be well over 30 wins. Like I could see them making a play-in spot.
I mean, making a play-in spot in the East, though, like getting to 30, you can get to 30 wins and make a play-in spot. That's the thing.
I'm actually curious to see what their record was in that 22 season. They were all right. So they were, when LaMelo was healthy, they got to 43 wins.
Okay.
So it just goes back to my point. It's like if like the health thing with him is the most important because he's a good player. He's a former All-Star. So like you have like he can get you, somebody like that can get you 40 wins at least.
I'm looking at it right now. Tankathon, it looks like they have a lottery protected first round pick this next year. So like you pushing play-in territory is, pushing it. Not to say they want that pick, but again, the 25 class is supposed to be a really good class. And so I would try to get that pick if I could. Just a few other footnotes, just some other notable guys. Like Micic was a guy that, I can't remember if last year was his first year or not, but he was a fun, like, kind of point guard off the bench late in the season. Trey Mann, obviously, I think he got traded over from Oklahoma City in the Gordon Hayward trade. And, he's lit it on fire over summer and in preseason and whatnot, at least from what I can remember. Nick Smith Jr. was there. I want to say he was one of their draft picks last year out of Arkansas. And I'm interested to see, like, if he, has an actual role in the rotation. Nick Richards was their best center last year, and he was actually a guy that I wanted Miami to trade for at the deadline. That's neither here nor there. But he was another, like, the thing with him though, his defensive awareness isn't great. And I don't expect him to take that job, or not take that job. I don't expect him to keep that job once Mark gets healthy. And I'm not selling my Mark Williams stock yet. I'm just not doing it. He hasn't been healthy really at all throughout his NBA career, but I'm not selling stock yet. I still think he can be like an impactful two-way player, especially defensively as a shot blocker. Just play more than 50 games, please, Mark. I'm just looking at the roster right now. I don't ever trying to remember when they signed Taj Gibson. I don't remember that happening, but that was a thing that actually happened.
I think it was very late in the offseason where they signed him.
Must just flown under my radar. I don't like admitting that on air, but I'm a truth teller. So again, like that again, just another veteran piece on a roster. Like he can help Mark out, he can help Nick Richards out, he can help Salawon, all some of these other guys. He can help Grant Williams out. Just as a veteran leader, he may be a guy that doesn't play very many games and was waived or bounces somewhere else or is straight or whatever the case is. I don't know what his contract situation looks like, but he's just someone who I guess can be like a veteran leader in that locker room for a first-year head coach and a new staff. Trying to assemble pieces. Is he older than Charles Lee? Is he older than his head coach?
That's a good question.
I want to say Charles Lee's like 36 or 37.
All right, so Taj is
entering his age 39 season.
Yep. And then you know what?
We're doing this on the fly, people. I don't.
Yes. All right, and Charles Lee they're the same age, but I'm trying now. We got to line up birthdays.
Oh wow, okay.
Taj Gibson is older by a few months. He was born in June, while Charles Lee was born in November.
Look at that.
Ooh, actually, wait a minute. Actually, no. Charles Lee was born in 1984. So technically, he's older than Taj by a few months because he was born in 84 and Taj was born in 85.
Okay, well, I was like, that would have been really cool.
I mean, dude, still.
Still, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any, like, I know, what is your, like, prediction for this team? Do you think this team's, like, a play-in team? Do you think they make the play-in? Do you think they come? I think they actually make the play. So I'm very skeptical about that prediction, but I think them and Detroit are both going to be better this year. And I think they make the play-in over Detroit.
Yeah, I think Detroit's going to be better too. But for a team like Charlotte, it keeps coming back to like if LaMelo can stay healthy coming into the season, I would say they can get to like 45 wins. I can give them that much. If LaMelo can stay healthy, and that's just contingent on just him. So they could be a little bit better, it could be a little bit worse. But I'd say like 45 wins is reachable if like him and Brandon Miller can stay healthy. Or mainly LaMelo in this case, because Brandon Miller can play and give you over 70 games. At least for this season. But I would say if LaMelo can stay healthy, then they can get into the play-in.
Okay. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, again, it just needs to stay healthy. Like that's it. That's really it.
A lot of hope and optimism with that take right there.
Yeah. I don't have any additional final thoughts. I think this team is like a fringe playing team. I think they win, 25, 30 games. Again, I think 30 games can get you a play-in spot in the East. I don't think that's a hot take. With how dire that conference is, especially the bottom of the conference with, with Washington, with Detroit, with Chicago, with all some of these other teams. Like, I know I'm leaving out
the Eastern Conference, real top heavy.
Yeah, well, it's top heavy, but the bottom is also like it's really bad, like really, really, really bad. Brooklyn,
somebody's got to have to win these games.
Washington, all these teams are just bad. To some extent, I know Brooklyn and Washington are probably the worst amongst the two, worst amongst the ones I just mentioned, but it's still not looking great. And like someone has to get the 10th spot. It could be Charlotte if LaMelo stays healthy. And like again, if Cody Martin stays healthy, if Grant Williams, makes a conceivable two-way impact, which I'm guessing he will. If Josh Green if all these guys make an impact, and if Charles Lee blossoms as a first-year head coach in the conference with the tools that he's got, if Brandon Miller stays healthy and continues to ascend, this team can be a 10 seed. And that's not crazy in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, just I can look at them as if they're how like we're hoping for them to be. I feel like they can be a trap game. Like in the worst of it, like you can be a trap game. Like at least be competitive throughout the season and don't like if you guys peter out like halfway through the year, all right, because people aren't expecting very much from you because people are just gonna look like, oh, you guys won 21. You guys won 21 games last year. You guys must stink. Like it's that whole "what have you done for me recently" kind of deal. So, but at the very least, I think this team could at least be competitive.
Yeah. Just by the way, looking at it, their over/under is 31.5, with some juice on the under per FanDuel, no free ads, but that's just the book that I decided to look at for the sake of this conversation. That'll do it. My name is Matt. This is Jiarmani. Please go like and subscribe. Please go check out the other Vendetta Sports Media NBA season previews on the website, on the YouTube channel at Vendetta Media. You see it in the banner that's coming across your screen right now. Please go check out all of our other content at vendettasportsmedia.com. NBA, Major League Baseball, the World Series is going to be starting on Friday. NFL season's in full swing. College football's in full swing. NHL season started last week. Literally everything that you could think of is on vendettasportsmedia.com. So please go check all of that stuff out. Jiarmani, do you have any final words? Again,
I do not. Show support to Vendetta Sports Media. We got everything you need as a sports fan, and we will appreciate any love you guys send our way.
Amen to that. My name is Matt. This is Jiarmani. See y'all next time. Peace out.